Hello and welcome to 5 Minutes with Sean, maybe 10, Consumer Edition. This is part 2 of the do's and don'ts given to us by Consumer Reports, which is a it's an exciting article to read because I love the way that people talk about the experience from the consumer standpoint. I'm obsessed with consumer experiences. It's why I know that my wonderful industry needs to make changes to how it deals with customers. But there's also some misnomers put out by stuff like this that doesn't make it. We can still do it, right? We can still overcome it, but there's still things that you might not even be able to overcome as a consumer if all of the things you hear about dealerships are true, right? They're not all the same. As a matter of fact, the other day I was on LinkedIn and someone had posted some clickbait and they got me. The clickbait was basically, look, in less than 10 years, 90% of car dealerships would be out of business. I'll bet you $100. I replied with, I'll take your bet. Here's my address, send it to me in 10 years. Because that's not going to happen. And his point was, well, I went to 4 dealerships in one day and they all did the following. And he put this whole article together. Then I started reading it and I realized that he was trying to be Mr. Consumer Reports, everything tight to the vest, not giving people the details they needed to make a deal. And then I looked and said, well, wait, if you went to 4 or 5 stores in one day, what is the common denominator if they were all different brands owned by different people? You are the common denominator, and you consumers, remember, I'm not a car consumer. I've done this too long, so I take myself out of the discussion. But I can be fair about you, the consumer, because I know plenty of you, and I've dealt with plenty of you over the years. You don't make it the easiest because you kind of come up with your walls already up, and I get that. But if we could work together to kind of look how to change the experience from both sides, I think everyone will love the outcome. I really do. I really do. So the next portion of the Consumer Report article goes like this. Watch the details. Do pay the down payment with a credit card. Consumer Reports, I got news for you. Dealerships do not, all of them, take credit card. So that's bad advice because then you'll argue and blow a deal over who takes a credit card. Well, let's see their reasoning. That way, if the dealer goes out of business before you pick up your car, you can challenge the payment with your credit card issuer. And don't sign any forms that are left blank. Come on, guys. Consumers, if you're still doing it, I'm sorry. I don't agree with Consumer Reports. That is your fault. If you sign anything in your life that is blank and bad shit happens to you, that is on you, period. A dealership could falsify information such as your income or the size of your down payment on your loan application. This is true. Don't leave anything blank. Have it signed. Put NA or crosses through it. And then make sure you have what got submitted to the bank. It's a simple request to be made. Even the bank will show it to you. If you've been defrauded, turn people in. To this point, dealers, knock it off. Seriously, you can hear it in my voice, right? I get fired up because this topic means so much to me. This industry is my life and has been forever. I don't want to see it get ruined by shit like this. And to be fair, when it says go out of business, I got a family-run dealership that is a pretty large size, 15 plus here in the Midwest. More importantly, right here in Wisconsin, been in business more than 50 years, who don't accept credit cards. Because what you just said can happen on the back end too. You decide to BK and not pay me, now my dealership doesn't get paid. There are plenty of issues that exist on the back half. Okay? So stop, Consumer Reports. That is bad advice. Do make sure the dealer pays off your old auto loan promptly if that's part of the deal. If a dealer goes out of business before doing so, you could be left holding the bag with both payments. Yes, this is true. This is why I recommend buying from franchise car dealers. If not franchise, then independent dealers with great reviews and great track records. And yes, you must follow up and ensure that this happens. You have to. It is something that can defraud people all the time. Make sure you follow with both your bank and the actual dealership. There are lines you can take along the way to not just wait for the dealer. So be involved and know what's going on with it. Okay? I agree. Do not agree to be responsible for any extra interest on loan payments for the trade-in after you sign the bill of sale. Yes, that should become standard. I say that because I realize that my hopes aren't always met with reality. So I'm not that lost on the whole thing. What do we have for the final point here? Oh, 2 more points. Don't drive the car home before the financial paperwork is completed. That is often resulted in so-called yo-yo or spot deliveries when the dealer calls the buyer back claiming the financials fell through to get him or her to sign new paperwork at less favorable terms. To be fair, the majority of the reason this happens to you is because you are getting approved for a loan through a bank. You typically have questionable credit. If you are a 670 plus beacon, and if you are into the 700s, this is not your issue. This is for folks who are credit challenged. When you are credit challenged, this is part of the game. Know what you can do, know what you can afford. And if the dealer does put you on the yo-yo, then tell them no and return the car. The problem is we know, just like from earlier, we know most people won't return the car and they'll pay the new terms. But remember, it's not always about gross profit. It might be just about straight up approval of your car deal. So there is more than just black and white, as the fine folks at Consumer Reports would lead you to believe. Finally, don't take delivery of the car if additional work needs to be done to it, such as repairs, accessory installation. If a dealer goes out of business, it can be difficult to get work done. That is the final line. Did anyone sense the overarching theme of this article? That's right. It's dealerships going out of business. That's going to become an increasingly bigger issue as things move on. I agree, but not to this end. This can still make your car buying experience a pain in the butt. So I told you I would leave you with points to be a better buyer, and I will. Number 1, do all of your shopping online, every single piece of it. Once you have a narrowed field, I would say to 3, a max 5 units, go online and schedule test drives. Dealerships are dying to do work with you online. The industry is doing its very damnedest to bring this to you while sitting on your couch. But we know that better than 90% of you don't want this transaction to end anywhere other than the dealership. And that's because that's where things go. You can see it, feel it, touch it. It's a trusted environment. We just need to do a better job of building the trust up into it. But you, the consumer, can take part in that. If you have bad credit, be forthcoming. If your car, I'm going to tell you this on the trades. I'm going to make it quick. If you bring in a car for trade that you owe 14 grand on, that does not make your car worth 14 grand because it's what you owe. I know that would be nice in a perfect world, but it's not. The majority of people who are coming in for loans for cars are underwater in their car, and that's because it's a depreciating asset that happens almost immediately, and it's not your fault. It's just the way life is. So don't get stuck on what 14 grand, that's my payoff, that's what my car's worth. No, it's not. Go do your research. KBB, NADA, Edmunds, I don't care. There's a million other people where you can go do this research. And again, consumers, you have every single thing you need to you available online. Do everything you can online with transparency, with records. Everything you do is done by email. Don't delete emails. Don't delete anything. Keep everything right there. And when you're ready to pull the trigger, be honest with your store, be honest with yourself, and buy from the people you trust the most. They might not always have the lowest price, but if you trust them and you have that feeling, that heart of hearts, you know the deal's already right, but the people are even good, that's the place you should buy a car. So I hope you enjoyed this 5 minutes with Sean, maybe 10, because it was all about you, the consumer. Consumers, you can reach me, 262-278-0157. That's text and phone. You can also email me, Sean@carbizdonebetter.com. And again, thank you so much for being a part of this. I love our industry, and I only hope it gets better as we all move forward together.